Welcome to Redneck Outfitters, where the labor's cheap and the advice is free. Thanks for joining us.
You can see on these upright supports on this main pin beam that they're pretty rusted out and pretty used up. There was no way I was going to try to repair all of that. I'm just going to get a new one, and it's going to be a lot stronger. But I'd like to use some of the pieces off of it. So like these right here, these are the trailing arms, and they provide your front suspension and the movement up and down as you're going down the road. And they actually come off pretty easy. If I get my junk out of the way there, it would have been a little bit easier than trying to hammer around it. But they look like they're in pretty good shape. The insides of them weren't rusty at all. Had a lot of grease on them, so whoever had it before me took good care of that. But those two things you see sticking out of this end are front torsion leaves, and what those are long pieces of flat stock metal stuck together, and they go through the tube, and in the middle there's what they call grub screws, and you'll see me take those out here pretty soon when I flip it over. But those hold those in place, and then your end pieces go on there, and they fit on that little square end of them, so that when it goes up and down, it kind of creates a twisting motion, and that acts like a spring. So, but it's very important to keep those together, keep them in order, so that when you put them back in there, everything fits correctly. What I will do here in a little bit is take them out, and I end up putting wire ties around them, one to hold them together, and my identification process is quite crude. I actually put two on the first one I take out, which is the top one, and the bottom one I only put one on each end. So, and then I go further on the identification process. As an old wrestler, one wrestler used to wear a green band, one wrestler used to wear a red band, and the referee had a red band and a green band, one on each arm. So when he awarded points, all he did was hold up that correct arm, and the scorekeeper knew exactly who to give the points to, the guy they call red, the guy they call green. So I'm using the red kind of as the right. Makes sense, right? Green is just what's left. So you'll see me put some green tape on some stuff. You might see me paint some red paint on some other stuff. But like I said, these things were pretty greased up. Of course, them rubber bushings on the end, they're going to be replaced. But those trailing arms are hard to come by. So, especially for an early model like this. So I'm going to reuse those. Here I'm turning this over where I can get to the grub screws on the front, and that's kind of how it would sit on the if I was in the driver's seat, probably be a little more upright, but that's what we have so far. So we're going to get to the grub screws here, and like I said, there's a nut that needs to loosen up, and the grub screw itself kind of looks like a big set screw. It just keeps pressure, and there's a divot in the middle of those torsion leaves where it goes down, and that's what helps hold it in place where they're not sliding back and forth and they're not coming apart. And then of course on the ends, when you put the trailing arm back on, that squeezes all of them together again on the end. And then once you get everything back together, get the shock on there and get the tie rods and the steering, and it all holds it together as a unit. So of course the nut's going to get stuck in the socket. You can pretty much bet on that, just because most of them are a little bit bigger than what they normally are because they're covered in rust or crud. That's the grub screw that I'm pointing to right there as I'm taking it out. It's very simple engineering, but man, it seems to work pretty well. You know, after all them years, it's still holding it together. So this is some of the wasted time I talked about before of looking for tools. I had to go get a little screwdriver to clean the mud and the guck out of the grub screw. So it just adds a little time to the labor. That's why they cost so much when you have things rebuilt. You know, some of these rebuilders, they charge $100 an hour, and you know, based on that, just the time that I have in at the end of this day, I've saved myself $2,200 by doing the work myself. I know that's money I'll never get back. You know, it wouldn't make too much sense for me to take money out of my account and turn around, pay myself, and put it back in my account. But I am keeping track of the labor hours that I put on this project, just for the heck of it, because you know, I want to document everything. And of course, see, here I go again looking for something that I probably should have had up there on the bench. I used to have my toolboxes a lot closer. Once I got the 8N in there and I got the my shed out back for some stuff, I moved some stuff out and moved things around a little bit. So there's the wire ties that I'm going to use for my identification and to hold these together. And right here I'm trying to figure out what the best way to do this is. I was actually looking for some stuff to grab a hold of this because they were very greasy, which was good. That's probably why they're in such good shape and not all rusted up and broken and all of that stuff. So I just wire them up. Like I said, I put 2 on the top just because of my identification system. And what I end up doing is I believe I end up painting these things red, so I know this is the right side of the top. And then on the bottom one, after I get it out and everything, I put a green piece of tape on the left side, so that'll tell me that that's the left side. and I put only one wire tie on each end to remind myself that that's the bottom piece, so they don't get mixed up. That way, when I go to put them right back in the new one, that they're in the right spot, and everything hopefully will go back together like it should. So we'll see. Haven't got the concept of fast forwarding. I'm doing good to do the cutting out of editing of some of the junk, but you can just fast forward if you want to. When I end up, you see these big stops here on the end. There's one on each side, and they're in halfway decent shape. I'm gonna probably get some new ones, but I've tried to get these things off, and I started messing with it a little bit, and then I thought, the hell with it. I can either get it later or not at all. I probably need to spray them up. Of course, I get my big fat butt in the way, but finally I said, oh, screw it. You know, they're staying on. So I move over to the steering box, and as you can see, it's working, but it's got a big grind in it. So I'll tear it apart, and it may just need new grease or something. I don't know, but it kind of sounded like a bearing or something in there. I'm not sure how they're put together, but it did have a little bit of a grinding to it. But I'm going to end up taking it off, and if I can use it, fine. If I can't, fine. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's going to have a bunch of new parts on it. So here I have to get those tabs out of the way that I was talking about in the other video that they put around the nuts to keep them from backing themselves off. And there's 2 nuts and bolts there, and that little metal piece clips over both of them. So I have to get that out of the way before I can take this thing off. And like I said, later on I'll go through it and see if I can clean it up and reuse it, or if I'm just going to get a new one. This is pretty much the end of the demolition of the front end. Once I get this steering box out of the way, just kind of take a look at it. For some dumb reason, I twist these stops again like they're going to magically come off, Mechanic always hopes something easy happens, something weird. But it's done. Those are the torsion bars, or the leaves, and you can see I painted the wire tie red to tell me that that's the right side, and then there's the green, tells me that's the left, which way they go in. So hopefully they'll all go back together well, and wire ties won't bust. Those are the trailing arms before I clean them up. You can see the pin part of it is not real bad. I mean, that's going to clean up real quick. The outside cleaned up pretty well. There's one of that's the bottom one. You can see that little bolt sticking out there, all primed up. And, I got parts hanging here and there and off of everywhere to dry. And then that's the top one of the one side. So they cleaned up real well. And I was happy I would be able to reuse those. Just throw some grease on them before I put them in there. Today's tech tip was
was having trouble getting these castle nuts off of the axles, the rear axles. And I'm not going to reuse the nut. I'm not going to reuse the drum, I don't believe, but I was wanting to make sure I had a good axle shaft. They're hard to come by. So I had the impact wrench on there and it just wouldn't go. Put PB Blaster on there, I don't know how many times, wouldn't go. So I got the grinding wheel, but I didn't want to booger up the threads. So I actually put the grinding wheel right up against right where the nut meets the drum and just kind of work my way around, spin it, work my way around, spin it, work my way around till I got a good groove down in there, but I'm not down to the threads. And then I was able to get the impact wrench on it and back the nut off. So that's a good tip. You don't want to ruin the axle shafts. Any of this other stuff we can replace, but axle shafts you don't really want to tear up if you don't have to. So that's an easy way to get it off. It's a lot better than fighting it. So I got to do the other side now, but we'll see how it turns out. Well, we'll see how good this one goes. I got to take this off. I was trying to hold it steady earlier with the impact. The drum wanted to spin, so here we go. We'll give her a shot. Not yet. Success! Well, the demolition is about 99% complete. I still have to take the axles out of the transmission, but I'm going to save that and do that a little bit later. My main focus, I got some front end parts coming in today, so I have to take the front drums apart and see what all I can salvage off of the link pins and tie rod ends or what have you. So I got to do that, and that's what I'm going to start on next. But 99% of the grunt work is done, and everything else is going to be progress, I believe. So I still got some repair work to do on the frame over there before I get my pans in. I got the one, but going to be waiting on the other one, and I think the one I got is the one I can work on this right hand side that I got to finish up anyway. So we'll see how that goes, but I want to get this stuff tore apart and maybe get this place cleaned up a little bit where I can do some more work. So I got crap scattered everywhere, but we're getting there. So stay with us.
These are the front brakes. That actually, the brake shoes on the front and back look like they had been replaced, and they got good pads on them. So I'm just gonna clean them all up and reuse them. Throw a little brake cleaner on there, and it should be good to go, and save money.
I think I need to fix my cord. Oh, what a mess. I thought I had the camera on while I was doing all this welding, but apparently I didn't. So anyway, that's with the weld. I'm going to clean it up with the grinder, and I think we'll be all right.
This is after I cleaned everything up. Got that little piece of square stock in there, welded in, ground down. Also discovered the fuel line. It looked a little funky. I grabbed a hold of it, the one end of it, and it twisted off. And this is a brand new pan that I got, and you can see I'm test fitting this. I got a little string across there, some green tape markings, and I got a little cheat sheet book with diagrams, and I also turn them into inches so I can check it, double check it 2 different ways as to the dimensions of what's supposed to be where. and hopefully it'll get fit in there right. These are the rear torsion bars and the swing arms that are attached to them, and I was just taking the wire wheel, cleaning them up, getting them ready for primer, and there wasn't a lot on them except for where the bushings were, the round part you see there by the C-clamp. It was pretty gunked up, but it all come off real well and turned out well. So my drill here ends up, my battery runs down on it because I've been using it all day on different things, but so I had to switch over to my electric drill later. But they cleaned up real nice, and I was glad. That's just more parts that I can reuse, so again, more money savings. hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining us again at Redneck Outfitters 1 here on YouTube. If you'd like, hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and updates and updated videos and keep track of all the progress that is being made as the time goes on. Like I said, it's going to be a long project, but hopefully it's all going to be worth it. Hoping you enjoy stuff. If you want to see something or got any comments, let me know. Send me a message, send me an email at Poet Mahlon. That's POETMAHLON at Comcast.net, and I'll see what I can do. You can see my yellow tape on my grinder there. My grinder's about had it. I had to try to fix the cord just to finish up what I was doing today. So about time to get some new tools, I think. That thing's probably 25 years old. I think I got that when I first started working in the maintenance department damn near 25 years ago. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy.